Yo, what up? This is Josh Room from East West Healing Improvements. Today I want to talk about the benefits of CASCARA SAGRADA. Most people are like, what the hell are you talking about? Now, I want to preface it with this. We talk a lot more about this in the Metabolic Blueprint program, as well as when we coach people one-on-one all over the world. If you want to learn more about our Metabolic Blueprint program, go to the description link, and you can click on the Metabolic Blueprint program. And, of course, if you want to learn more about our one-on-one coaching, go to our website, eastwesthealing.com. Now, we don't use this with everyone. We use it in specific cases. Typically, people that have cancer, have severe constipation, or severely estrogenic. So we don't use it with everyone. So I don't want everyone going out there running out and getting it. Because if you don't use the right type of CASCARA SAGRADA and it's not aged enough, you can actually cause damage to the lining of your gut and small intestine. So you have to use the right type. Now with that, of course, I'm not going to tell you where to get it, unfortunately, because there's just too much liability and I want everyone going out there and getting it. There's always a specific reason to use it with someone and when to use it and who to use it with. But I just want to educate people. Now, a lot of this is based off the work of Ray Peat, of course. He brought a lot of this to light. And the people that we use it with have gotten a lot of benefit. Now, the key is the one time you don't want to use it is with people that have diarrhea, because it is a natural, in a sense, laxative. So if you use it with someone, they have cancer, they're super estrogenic, they have edema, whatever, but they have diarrhea, and you use it, even though it might help them, it could actually cause more diarrhea, leading to other metabolic issues and damage their gut lining. So there's a lot of factors to look into, so you have to make sure you use it with the right person. But let's talk about CASCARA SAGRADA, which is an herb. And it needs to be dried and aged for a long period of time to actually have its benefits. So you'll find on the web it's everywhere, but the problem is a lot of the time it's not aged long enough. And a lot of the CASCARA out there can actually cause more digestive upset, and that's what's causing the increased peristalsis and the diarrhea. Now, when aged properly, CASCARA SAGRADA can stimulate the gut, producing a laxative effect. So if we're working with people that are highly constipated, you know, they've been eating a diet high in fiber, a lot of above-ground vegetables, they've gone on our nutritional program and they get constipated, it's really showing you their baseline. It's showing you that the fiber itself was aiding in the peristalsis, but there's so many negative effects from all the cellulose, which I don't want to go into, because we can't break it down. It's highly inflammatory. We're not ruminant animals. We don't have a rumen to break down cellulose. So we actually can't break it down. It did aid in peristalsis, but it's a Band-Aid. Because when you take it away, people are getting constipated, and you see this. So you're seeing people's baseline of how swollen their GI system really is. Now, when this happens, we recommend people increasing their broth intake, increasing their power protein intake, and the foods that are anti-inflammatory, increasing the amounts of bamboo shoots and carrots they're taking in to help increase the detoxification of estrogen, to get some fiber to actually help them with peristalsis, eliminating foods that are high in tryptophan, which are highly inflammatory because it converts to serotonin and can cause inflammation, ischemia, leakiness of the capillaries in the digestive system, as well as really increasing their salt intake to the point that they can actually handle. What that is, it's person specific, but salt can actually regulate aldosterone and downregulate things that create inflammation, like the VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor. And it can regulate edema, which will downregulate inflammation and facilitate peristalsis. Now, if we've tried this, which it usually works, and we recommend people using the GI pumping video that we have at our website. So if you go to our website, go to the on-demand store, click on videos, we have a GI pumping video that we recommend people to do every day to help pump the different aspects of the GI system, from the cecum, ascending colon, right flexure, transverse colon, left flexure, etc. So it's a great way to help people move feces along. Now, if all this doesn't work over a period of time, what that period of time is, not sure, then we'll add in CASCARA SAGRADA. Now, if people are constipated and they're not pooping for days on end, I'll recommend them get some colon hydrotherapy once, just to kind of get a blockage out. There must be some type of blockage because they've been constipated for so long. But at that point, if it's, every other day, and we've tried the food, we've tried, and they're still constipated, we'll add in the CASCARA SAGRADA. I'm not going to tell you how much and how often, but we add it in. The CASCARA SAGRADA can actually cause smooth muscles in the intestine to actually contract, just like salt, and it aids in peristalsis. It can actually adjust the secretion and absorption of the fluids in the GI system as well. So the fluids stay in the intestine And so the cells actually don't become waterlogged. So it can actually, what's the word I'm looking for? It can actually reduce edema, allow our cells to let go of water, and regulate the absorption and adjust the secretion of juices in the GI system. So it has a regulatory effect on the GI system itself as well as the large intestine. It can actually prevent leakiness. Now it does this because it actually inhibits that vegetative endothelium growth factor. And that's stimulated by aldosterone, and aldosterone is stimulated when we lose sodium from our cells in our urine along with albumin, which regulates blood volume. This happens in any hypometabolic condition, diabetes, hypothyroidism, cancer, autoimmune disease. That's a hallmark sign. We lose sodium. When you lose sodium, your body stimulates aldosterone to actually upregulate sodium retention, right? That's what it does. Now, if we can downregulate that and we increase our salt intake, we can actually downregulate aldosterone production. At the same time, according to Ray and Ribello, it's been shown that fructose, by bypassing fatty inhibition and getting into the cell, can actually downregulate free fatty acids in the blood, downregulate aldosterone, and upregulate our cells' retention of sodium. So, in a nutshell, CASCARA SAGRADA can help regulate that along with what you're doing. It helps to prevent leakiness, which can cause an immune system reaction, and it can cause more inflammation in the body. CASCARA SAGRADA is actually anti-estrogenic, and sometimes this is the reason we use it. If we feel someone's estrogen dominance is because they're not able to detoxify estrogen, it's being recirculated in the small intestine. We're using the carrot or bamboo shoots, twice a day with meal 2 and meal 4. They're having it with a meal. They're using it consistently. And it's helping, but we feel they need an extra boost. We'll use small doses of CASCARA SAGRADA because then it can actually help to facilitate the detoxification of estrogen and absorb the estrogen. So in itself, it's actually anti-estrogenic. CASCARA SAGRADA contains what's called emodin, E-M-O-D-I-N. It's the active ingredient in CASCARA SAGRADA, which is healing to the gut and is actually anti-inflammatory. According to Ray, emodin is antiviral and anti-cancer. And you'll find in a lot of Ray's work, he recommends people using it along with aspirin in high doses with people with cancer. Now, of course, it's hard because you have to get through the doctor and you have to make sure they don't have diarrhea. CASCARA SAGRADA, along with aspirin, corrects cellular respiration. So it actually has a positive effect on how our cells use glucose. It's anti-inflammatory, it's an antidepressant, it's anti-fibrotic because it's anti-estrogenic, it's heart protective, and it can be memory enhancing, and that's according to Ray Peat PhD. It can actually inhibit the production of nitric oxide as well as fatty acid synthesis. Now remember, anytime we're inflamed, diet high in unsaturated fats, low in vitamin E, excess estrogen, whatever it may be, we're going into a catabolic state. We're not meeting our cells' needs of glucose. We increase free fatty acid synthesis in the blood, or free fatty acids into the blood, which inhibits how our cells use glucose and increases fat oxidation, how our cells use fat for energy. So it inhibits energy production, which produces lactic acid, nitric oxide, etc. So going back to the last kind of thing I talked about, emodin, CASCARA SAGRADA, helps to downregulate this inflammatory effect by regulating how our cells use glucose. And lastly, it can actually increase metabolic rate through this process and decrease the oxidative damage produced by serotonin from muscle meats, from whatever it may be in your body, because prolactin, estrogen can actually stimulate serotonin. So it's actually anti-estrogenic and anti-serotonergic. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much and where to get it, unfortunately. I just can't. So you're going to have to do your research. But hopefully you've learned something on the benefits of CASCARA SAGRADA based off Ray's research. It's not a magic bullet. You'll find some people that are constipated, or when you use it for specific reasons, it might not work. Once again, always food first. If they're estrogenic and you find that their estrogen dominance is because they're not detoxifying estrogen, use the food first. Regulate blood sugar. Estrogen is stimulated when insulin goes up and will lower blood sugar. If you regulate blood sugar, you might downregulate estrogen production. If people on the birth control pill, if they're on an estrogen patch, if they've been on it for years and they're off, if they're not detoxifying estrogen because the liver's overburdened from bacterial overgrowths, from carrageenan, from endotoxin, use foods, use power protein, anti-inflammatory proteins, use fruits, use the carrots, use that to help regulate blood sugar, down-regulate endotoxin and bacteria in the gut, help with the reabsorption of estrogen in the small intestine and get it out of the body. And then, at the end, if you need an extra boost for some specific reason, and hopefully you don't, you can use the CASCARA SAGRADA. So don't always jump to it first because it's not a magic bullet. So, hopefully you've learned something. You know, my YouTubes are about the why. I can't give you all the answers, unfortunately. If you want to learn more about it, we do talk about when, how, the type, the specific ones we use in our one-to-one coaching with clients all over the world, as well as in our Metabolic Blueprint program. So hopefully you enjoyed this YouTube clip on what is CASCARA SAGRADA. I'm out of here.